The story begins with the revelation of a prophecy made by the wise sage Alabaster about 10 years ago. It turns out that they've been holding their breath for the prophecy to take shape. We are transported 10 years back in time. With the help of some mysterious means, a little boy named Satu sees a girl named Haim no Kana and her grandfather. The little girl requests him not to tell anyone how they got there. Around 10 years later, in our timeline, Haim and Satu form an inseparable bond. Satu is even asked to ask her out on a date by his classmates. After this, Haim asks Satu to a summer festival, and Satu accepts without hesitation. At the festival, right as Satu gathers the nerve to confess his feelings for Haim, she breaks the news that she's leaving to relocate to a faraway neighborhood. Satu attempts to tell her how he feels about her again while he's leaving Haim off at her house, but she cuts him off and won't let him. Satu appears later that night, right before Haim is going to magically transport into another realm. He still isn't prepared to let her leave, even after she says her last farewell. Consequently, he joins her in the other world. Haim is about to be married off to a prince when Satu lands in the alternate universe. At this point, a monster-like being of the abyss shows up, and after this, Haim hands Satu the ring instead, and Satu ends up defeating the monster. Satu and Haim are now married, and immediately after the fight, though, Satu collapses. When Satu wakes up, Haim is by his side. Haim anticipates that Satu will be unhappy and confused. Nonetheless, Satu readily embraces his destiny as Haim's partner in the Light King. Following this, a plethora of abyssal creatures descend upon the royal palace. Haim kisses Satu and encourages him to take on the monsters. We see little Haimi and her grandpa make an earthly appearance. Eventually, Haim and Satu form a strong friendship. 10 years down the road, and Satu weds Haimi and assumes the role of Light Prince in a parallel universe. We see Haim give Sato a kiss as she gets him ready to face the dreadful monsters as Ring King and gives him her full support. Alabaster joins Sato in his fight against the monsters. Suddenly, a knight from the realm of the Abysmal King appears during the battle. The knight is incredibly powerful, and so Alabaster asks Sato to run with him, and the one time Sato attempts to attack the knight, he gets severely hurt and is forced to run for his life. Following that, from the palace, Prince Mars brings Haim. Once this is done, the four of them board a cart and ride out of the palace, and while they're on the road, Alabaster tells Sato that he must wed 4 additional elemental princesses. Sato is shocked since all he wants is to be faithful to Princess Haimi, his wife. Nevertheless, he has to cooperate. Midway through their journey to Ronka, the nation of the Ring of Winds, the 4 of them stop for a break. Haim feels terrible about bringing Sato into the chaos with her at first when she looks at his wounds at the resting place, but Sato then confesses his love for her and tells her that he's doing everything by his own accord. Following this, the 2 of them spend private time together. They recuperate for a while, and then they go to Ronka to propose to the elf princess, but as soon as they approach the elf princess, the idea of being forced into marriage and kissing another human causes her to run. Satu travels to Ronka, an elf settlement, to tie the knot with Nephritis, princess of the Ring of Wind. A timid Nephritis bolted in the previous episode. Jade Ronka, the princess of the Ring of Wind's older brother and the eldest son of the former Wine King Ronka, has now imprisoned Satu. 2 days later, Satu is rescued by an elder. For the sake of their country's safety from the abyss, she goes to extreme lengths such as trapping Satu with Nephritis in the hopes that he would marry her. After some discussion, we find out that Nephritis is interested in the outside world, but she is too afraid and has too many responsibilities to go exploring. Jade Ronka finds Nephritis and Satu shortly after. After his sister's parents gave their lives to protect their kingdom, he stops her from marrying him. After this, Nephritis follows her brother's lead after listening to him. Meanwhile, the wise woman convinces Jade that she will take good care of Satu. Haim seems envious of Nephritis when she converses with Satu in the episode's final moments. The elder then proceeds to tell the 2 of them about the real king and queen's sacrifice and the reason behind Nephritis' extreme fear of leaving the premises. The wise sage Alabaster warns Hado, Crystal, and the others that they must quickly leave the elven town to retrieve the rings before time runs out. After they get the other rings, he says they should go return to the elven town again to collect the ring belonging to Nephritis, but right before they go out, the Abyss King's knight manages to breach the Ronka barrier. Following this, Haruto and Alabaster confront the knight straight away. On top of that, Jade decides to fight alongside them. Meanwhile, Crystal informs Nephritis about what's happening by visiting her in her room. Following this, she claims she isn't enough for Haruto and asks her to marry him as well. The action then shifts to the fight, which is abruptly cut short as Crystal and Nephritis smash the stone statue, and Nephritis proposes to Haruto by kissing him and giving him the ring she has gotten her hands on. After this, Haruto vanquishes the Abyss King's knight with ease. It becomes apparent, though, that the Abyss King's knight stole the corpse of the original ring princess. The princess's body and consciousness are restored once Haruto defeats the knight. In this scene, the princess seeks out the wise sage Alabaster to learn more about the mysterious traveler who captured her heart. He assures her that the wanderer is now enjoying a peaceful life in another part of the world, and that he has always wished the best for her. After that, the group leaves, including Alabaster, Nephritis, Haruto, and Crystal. At this point in the episode, the princess finds out that the name of the great sage is Alabaster, and she also realizes that he is the wanderer with whom she fell in love. Satu and the rest of the group decide to head to the kingdom of Dragonfolk, which is the land of water. However, they encounter a floating nation while walking through the forest, and Alabaster then reveals to them that it's the land of fire, also known as Nitakita. He continues by saying that he was crossing his fingers that they would eventually come across this nation of wandering knights and cat people. As a consequence, he changes their original plan and announces that they will be getting the ring from the nation in hand first. A ladder then descends for the gang to use as they ascend inside the nation. They swiftly realize that they are encircled by knights and cat people in a floating open market, but Crystal and Nephritis eventually get separated from the rest of the group. The gang finds out about Grainart Nitakita, princess of the land of fire. At the same time, the fact that Satu must now win her heart becomes clear right away. Nephritis and Crystal are discovered by the group on their way to see the princess. They also find out that in order to win the princess over, Satu will need to triumph over her in a fight, and they see firsthand how the princess's strength and skills allow her to effortlessly defeat her suitors. Then Satu tries to win the fight. However, he too fails miserably, just like all the other suitors. Princess Grainart Nitakita meets up with Satu later that day to have him massage her. Following that, she lets him know that she knows he's the Ring King and suggests he have her strength on his side. She goes on to say that the next time he challenges her to a fight, she will deliberately lose so that he can get married to her and they can exchange wedding rings. Satu assures her that he will win on his own and voices his disapproval of her intentional loss. After this, Satu continues to train to be able to defeat Grainart so she can acknowledge him. Following this, just when Satu is preparing to defeat Grainart, an Abyss Knight approaches him. After this, he teams up with Grainart to defeat the monsters and the Abyss Knight. Satu has pleased Grainart with his potential, and she is prepared to marry him. Nevertheless, Satu is determined to defeat her for her to properly accept him. After Nephritis tells Hein that Satu wants to defeat Grainart and look cool for her, Hein cheers on Satu and tells him that if he wins, she'll have him. Following this, a battle follows between Satu and Grainart. Satu takes down Grainart with the help of his rings, which tell him what to do next, and she gives him the right acknowledgement. After this, Grainart aggressively pursues Satu in an attempt to have him, but Satu tells her that he has already promised Hein. While they're alone in a room, Hein and Satu have a private conversation in which Satu tells her he doesn't want to have with her right now, but will when they're in his world. Grainart pounces on Satu to have with her again, so Hein and Nephritis rescue him from an exploitation. Satu, his wives, Alabaster and Prince Mars, making their way to the land of water, Masa. It is the biggest city in the kingdom, and we find out that it is rather isolated. After their arrival, they notice that Prince Mars is missing, but they conclude that Mars has some business to take care of at Masa. Following this, they run into Saphir Masa, the maiden of the kingdom of water. After learning that Satu is the Ring King, she promptly kisses him, marries him, and presents him with the ring. Following this, she tells him that it is now his duty to peacefully govern the land. Sluter Gizaras, Mars's older brother and an undefeated general, is the first prince of Gizaras, whom they encounter shortly after. He summons them to the palace upon learning about Saphir's marriage to the Ring King. The magnificent Masa Falls are visible as they make their way to the palace. They find out that the land of Earth once existed beyond the waterfalls and that this is the supposedly evil kingdom of the Abyss King. As they near the palace, a monstrous creature attacks them. However, Satu easily defeats the monstrous being using the rings. When General Sluter Gizaras sees him doing it, he knows the Ring King's tales are true. Soon after, we meet the king, Saphir's father, who is elderly and swayed by an oracle. In addition, we find out that the oracle is collaborating with the Mars Kingdom to overthrow Masa. Another spy for Mars is Prince Mars, who was once committed to Princess Saphir's twin sister. The oracle warns Mars that Masa will be attacked and instructs him to grab the rings from the Ring King, and she proceeds to tell him that it's the only way he'll be forgiven for not becoming the Ring King. The group continues their fight on Masa, the land of water. It is clear that the oracle is working together with the Abyss King to accomplish their goals, and she tells Mars that he must steal the rings of the Ring King when the occasion presents itself and the Ring King is in a vulnerable position. Following this, she hands him a magical sword that'll help him achieve his goal. In the beginning, Mars does not go along with what the Oracle says. Nevertheless, she is able to push his weakness by bringing up the fact that he failed in his job of becoming the Ring King, and that this is the only way he can make up for that failure. In addition, the fact that Saphira isn't pleased with him and has broken things with him provides him with a further incentive to turn into an adversary of the Ring King. The scene then shifts to Satu, who's receiving kisses from his wives. After that, Alabaster goes on to explain that the power of his rings is strengthened by the love that he receives from his wives. Immediately after this, we see an attack by a monster from the abyss. In addition to this, Mars also betrays Satu himself. While Alabaster confronts the monster, Satu is seen defending himself from Mars. Mars is a close friend of Satu, and because of this, he makes an effort to reason with him because he does not want to cause him any harm. Even more than that, Satu allows Mars to strike him with his sword. On the other hand, Mars is unable to cause harm to Satu, and as a consequence, he gradually comes to his senses. A point has been reached where Alabaster is no longer able to exert control on the monster. From what we can tell, the monster manages to get a grip of Saphira. At this point, Mars opens up to Saphira about his feelings for her while Saphir transforms into a dragon, defeats the monster, and saves Saphira. Following this, Saphira and Mars reconcile, and as a consequence of this, the Oracle also runs away from the scene. After that, we witness the King of Mars bestowing his blessings upon his daughters, Saphir and Saphira, as well as upon the marriages they have with their respective significant others, Satu and Mars. The Oracle, on the other hand, makes an effort to present her argument to the Emperor of the Imperial Court, but he ends up killing her. We see Satu lying in bed with all his wives. Even though he appears to be desperate, he quickly recalls that Haing is his most important partner. Given that the danger has been eliminated at this point, we can also see that Maza is experiencing a great deal of tranquility at the moment, and as a consequence of this, Satu and his wives have the opportunity to take a break. The following day, Satu asks Haing to go out on a date with him. Given that they are not receiving any attention from him, it is clear that Nephritis, Saphir, and Grenard are experiencing a great deal of jealousy. We then see Satu ask Alabaster for money as he's going on a date with Haing. Alabaster gives him some extra money just in case he decides to spend the night out. Following that, we see Satu and Haing go out on a date together. Nephritis, Grenard, and Saphir, on the other hand, follow them around while they go sightseeing because they feel excluded. Nevertheless, not long after that, they decide to stop following them and instead return to the castle by themselves. On the other hand, Haing appears to take note of them just as they are leaving. We then see Satu tell Haing that he always dreamed of going on dates with her. He goes on to tell her that she's his number one and only girl. After that, she starts trying to persuade him to be fair to his other wives since they are also helping him on his journey. As a consequence of this, Satu gets quite upset and he kisses her. When they are about to check into a hotel for the night, they both grow anxious and decide to get back to the palace. The group heads to the land of Earth, Indanokan, which lies far north of Masa, and we learn that the capital of the dwarves rests within a steep mountain range. The group crossing the Great Mountain Wall, Kavgemika, and we find that the land of Earth, Indanokan, lies within its lofty heights. Satu and the rest of the group are making their way towards Idanokan, also known as the land of Earth, which is located a great distance to the north of Masa, and it is revealed to us that the capital city of the dwarfs is located within a mountain range that is quite steep. The group is seen crossing the Great Mountain Wall, Kakamika. The majority of them, notably Princess Saphir, feel worn out to the verge of exhaustion at this point. Immediately after this, they are seen taking a break after having traveled for 2 consecutive days. The group discovers that Idanokan is destroyed, and there are no dwarfs in the vicinity when they arrive there. As a consequence of the fact that the Abyss King's territory borders Idanokan, we come to understand that the Abyss King constantly attacked the city. This ultimately resulted in the destruction of the city, and the dwarfs eventually left the region and settled in another place. This is followed by the gang entering the castle of the city, which has been completely destroyed. A robot that appears to have been destroyed is discovered at this point. It is at this moment that we find out that the dwarfs in Idanokan were technologically advanced and made use of robots. The robot, however, rises to its feet and immediately begins to attack Satu shortly after that. The fact that the robot is possessed by the Abyss is revealed to us right away. After a fight, Satu successfully gets rid of the robot. At this point, however, we find out that the Abyss King has risen to reign, and an army of monsters begins to attack the group. Immediately after this, Alabaster gives the group the instruction to run away since there are a lot of monsters approaching them. Alabaster and Mars stay behind to fight the monsters, while the rest of the group is seen making their way through the door. We see Satu and his wife going shopping in Satu's world, which is Earth. It is observed that they are searching for clothes to blend in with the crowd. Some of them, on the other hand, have ears that resemble elf ears, horns, or cat ears, which makes them stand out regardless. After this, the group is seen together at a cave, where they are discussing the most ideal way to return to Arnulis. Following this, Satu and Crystal return to their previous way of life, which was the way they had been living before their trip to Arnulis. It is seen that the two of them are attending school together, and Crystal is pleased that she is finally able to enjoy a normal life with Satu. On the other hand, the other wives of Satu are having a much more difficult time adjusting to life on Earth. At this point, Satu and Crystal come face to face with each other in the forest, which is the spot where Satu, Alabaster, and Satu were transported to Arnulis. The ring princess of Idanoken, the land of Earth, is introduced to them here. Her name is Amber. Amber proceeds by informing Satu and Crystal that her people, the elves, were killed as a consequence of the growing number of attacks that had been taking place in their land. On the other hand, they were successful in giving the ring to a robot that was a replica of the ring princess. We learn that the robot is Amber herself. This will help Amber to help the Ring King in his fight with the Abyss King. Satu, on the other hand, is persuaded by Crystal that it is already too late to defeat the Abyss King and that they need to live a normal life on Earth. After this, Satu and Crystal go back to their regular lives and continue living their lives as they normally would. Satu's remaining wives, on the other hand, are unable to blend in. In addition, we witness Amber constantly following Satu around in order to fulfill her responsibility, which is to protect the Ring King. Eventually, Satu takes Amber's Ring of Earth and makes her his wife. Satu and Crystal are on the verge of having but Amber appears and informs them that the teleportation gadget is prepared to transport them back to Arnulis, and Grinart brings the other ring princess with her. The group is prepared to return to Arnulis. Satu and his wife are transported to Arnulis, and they come upon creatures and multiple corpses of Imperial soldiers. However, before they know it, the Abyss King's presence is made known. Then, to avoid being attacked, Satu decides to attack the Abyss King. The Abyss King and Satu get into a fight. The Abyss King is too strong for Satu, even though he possesses all 5 rings. He eventually loses the ability to move at all. Luckily, his wives are present to save the day. Later, while his wives and Alabaster watch, we witness Satu awaken atop a bird. For a moment, Satu thinks he's dead. However, Alabaster tells him that he is alive. After that, he continues by saying that he was rescued by Smaragdi Ronka, a member of the royal line of Ronka and Wind, and that the two of them escaped from the Abyss King. However, Alabaster proceeds by saying that the kingdoms are seeing an ever-increasing number of monsters. Once they reach their destination, Satu and his wives confront Alabaster. They proceed to question him about Satu's failure to defeat the Abyss King, even though he possessed all 5 rings. Now that Satu is in a vulnerable position, Alabaster advises him to draw strength from his relationships with his wives. In the next scene, Hein leads Satu to her parents' grave. Following that, she proceeds by telling Satu that her parents sacrificed themselves to save her, and she continues by adding that she was a little girl when this happened. In addition, she brings up the fact that she has a younger sister whom she hasn't seen in a long time. Alabaster and the rest of Satu's wives arrive, and Alabaster informs Hein that he has chosen someone to train her. At the end of the season, we are treated to the arrival of Hein's younger sister Morian Ravery no Kanatica. And that's how the season ends. Let me know what you think about this anime in the comment. And as always, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next video.